Hi and welcome to Cheekyricho's fat-free whole orange cake, gluten-free orange almond cake. We're going to be making this recipe in the Thermochef and the ingredients are in the recipe box below, but there are only 5 of them. There is no added flour and no added fat. The first thing that we've done is poured about 1 litre of water into our Thermochef jug, boiling water, and we've got our whole oranges which have been just washed. Okay, so we just pop our oranges into our basket which is sitting on top of the hot water, pop the lid on, it's a bit tight, and we're going to cook it on VAROMA speed 2 for 35 minutes. Okay, after 35 minutes this is what you should have. They're well and truly steamed. We're just going to take them out with the little tool gadget thingy. They're very hot, too hot to handle at the moment. We're going to dispose of that water. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees. Just put those oranges to one side for the moment. And now we're going to mill our raw almonds. They're unsalted and unsweetened, and our raw sugar. Preheat for 30 seconds. Now after 30 seconds you've got quite a coarse meal. I'm just making sure that everything's free around the blades and that there's nothing caught up the sides, and now we're just going to pulse it on the highest setting to get it to a fine powder. Now that'll turn that sugar basically into a caster sugar and the almonds into a very fine grind. After 15 seconds on turbo, this is what you should have. It's really fine now. You can still smell the orange in the bowl. It smells great. There are oranges. I'm going to cut them up because I need to get the seeds out of them, but you want to retain the juice that comes out of them. Just lose those seeds because they will be really very bitter, and it's actually very hot. Be a bit careful there, but you want them all out of there. These seeds actually came from Richo's farm, so I'm going to just throw those straight in on top of the almond meal. I'm satisfied there's no seeds in there. The other orange, I'm just going to cut this in half because I want to take a couple of slices out of the centre of it for decoration on the top of it. So see, that looks really pretty. Carefully slice, so hot, a fine sliver of your orange. There you go, and that's going to be our decoration on top of it. Yeah, I'll do another one of those. It's just too hot to manage. Okay, just cut these into chunks. Make sure there's no seeds in this one too. Lose that little stem bit. You don't want to find that chomped up in there. When I blitz them, the sugar is going to dissolve in the mix because the juice will come out, and we're going to blitz this in ever increasing speed until you get to turbo for about a minute until it's well combined. After about 55 seconds, this is what you have. It's well and truly mixed up now, and there's no evidence of the orange skin or the pulp. It's quite a stiff mix at this stage. Now we're just going to add our eggs. I'll just leave that for a couple of seconds while I prepare my pan because I don't want the eggs to cook as soon as they hit that. That's really quite hot still. Make sure there's nothing stuck in the bottom, and I'll prepare the pan. Okay, now we're just going to give this a light spray with some oil so it releases readily from the pan when it's cooked. Around the edge because that's what's caused the staining on it from previous cooks. Let's get off any excess. Okay, just put that to one side. Always place your silicone pans onto a baking tray because if you try to pick that up with a cake in it, it's not going to be your best friend. Now, back to our batter. Now it's just in with our whole eggs. Scrape off that spatula and our baking powder. Now it's gluten-free baking powder, so you don't have to worry about that if you have gluten issues. Sprinkle it on top. Speed 5, about 30 seconds or so until it's well combined. You might have to scrape down this bottom again to make sure that you've picked it all up from the bottom. After 30 seconds, it actually looks like mustard, doesn't it? We're just going to send it down to the sides to make sure that anything that's been flicked up has had the benefit of getting together with the eggs. It's actually really quite loose now. And just another 5 seconds on speed 5. Okay, batter's ready to go into our prepared cake pan now. Now this is going to be quite dense. We're going to cook it for at least an hour. Okay, into the oven we go for about 60 minutes, 180 degrees Celsius. Okay, 60 minutes later, our orange cake is hot from the oven. We're just going to take it off the baking tray and allow it to cool on a wire rack for a little while before we take it out of the pan. It's come away from the edges nicely. This whole house smells like an orchard on a hot day. It smells amazing. And we're going to allow it to cool before we slice it. Have a little taste, shall we? We've just dusted with some icing sugar and decorated with the little steamed orange that we rescued before we cooked the cake. Yummy. It's very moist, quite dense. Got a delightful orange flavour. Absolutely delicious. Thanks for watching.